Hello everyone, and happy Mother's Day. Welcome to another Sunday afternoon chat on an incredibly beautiful, warm Sunday afternoon here in eastern Oklahoma. We've had storms rolling through here for the last several days. God has blessed Oklahoma with lots and lots of rain. Sherry and Jamie, they said they've got about 3.5 inches here over around the Lake 10 Killer area where we are today. People got 4, 5, 6, 7 inches. Most of Oklahoma, the drought is over. The drought is busted. These are drought buster rains that we've had. I actually have a possibility of more rain coming in here. The sun just went over behind a cloud right there, and those clouds have got some dark in them, and they're going to build up as this heat builds up. It's about 90 degrees right now, so it's pretty warm out here. We were blessed at Twin Eagle Ranch with a rip-roaring 2/10 of an inch. That's right. 2/10 of an inch is all the rain we've got through this entire period of time. Just unbelievable. I mean, it's unbelievable how it hasn't rained. I watched those storms. They were coming up from the south, and I watched them on the radar on my phone, and they would come up and just be a big blob coming right up toward the ranch, and they would hit those Arbuckle Mountains, and they would just split and go around those mountains. Come up and just split and go around those mountains. And then they'd form back together and go on north up toward Oklahoma City. But they got more rain up in Ardmore and Sulphur and Daughtery than we got. They got more rain over at Medill. They got more rain all around. We simply did not get it there at the Eagle. But God is going to bless us with rain. I know that. Absolutely no doubt about it. Mother's Day. I just got to talk about Mother's Day because, golly, mothers deserve more than a day. Mothers deserve a Mother's Day every single solitary year. Every day of the year, every single solitary day of the year. They deserve a Mother's Day because mothers are so special. God created mothers, and God tells us in his word that a good wife, if you find a good wife, that she is more precious and more valuable than rubles and diamonds. Can I tell you, those good wives become incredibly great mothers. They become incredibly great moms. And I was blessed with an incredible mom. My mom, our preacher this morning at church over here, Scott, we went to church at Keys Baptist Church, and we're over here visiting, and brought Chris over for Mother's Day so she could spend her Mother's Day with her 2 kids, Sherry and Jamie, and we'll talk about that a little bit more here in a minute, but I want to tell you about some of the other kids that she's been mom to as well. But he talked about the fact that he was fortunate. He had a mom that did a lot of nagging and was on him all the time about doing things right and making sure he didn't mess up in everything he was doing. Got to tell you, I didn't have a nagging mom. My mom didn't nag at me at all. And she was just about the most precious lady you could ever imagine. She gave me a whipping a time or two, but not nearly as much as Dad did. You know, you don't give kids whipping much anymore, which is a bad deal. We probably still should be giving that. That's what Dad told me. That's why you had a bottom on you in the first place, was so you have a place to whip you without get your attention without hurting you too bad. And I'm gonna tell you, it hurt me a lot when my dad whipped me. But moms don't really give much whippings anymore. Not hardly anybody gets a whipping. It's one of the things that's wrong with some of the younger generation, some of the 20 and 30-year-olds now that they're out there that have just grown up without discipline, and they're doing all kinds of silly stuff. And we have more crazy stuff going on in the nation right now than we ever have. But part of the reasons I believe that we have so much bad going on is we years ago kicked God out of our school system. And you know, when I was a kid, we all had guns in our pickups. I had a shotgun and a rifle in a pickup all the time. I was driving a pickup to school the time I was 16 years old on up. And they were just right there in a rack on the back, wide open. They weren't concealed or anything. We could go out there and show those to our buddies. We could kind of go like we was practicing shooting something flying in the air. Or we could point and look through a scope, and nobody thought anything about it. It was just kind of it's hot out here today, over 90 degrees. But nobody thought anything of it. It was just something. But as a matter of fact, and it's not just, that didn't just happen here in Oklahoma, this little conservative state here in the middle of the nation. It happened all over the country. My buddy Gary Klein went to high school out in Oroville, California, is where he's from. And he told me that when he was in high school, when class was out in September, that he would go out to his pickup and put his camo on and get his shotgun and his shells, walk back through the school, walk down a long hallway to the end of the school, go out a door and go out in the field out there behind the school and hunt doves. dove hunt, and nobody would think anything of it. So it's not, people try to blame guns. It's obviously not the guns. You had a 16-year-old boy walk all the way through school. Never, ever crossed his mind, never crossed my mind or any of the kids around me, let's take this gun and shoot somebody. Let's just go in there and start shooting people. That was just something that didn't happen. And one of the reasons was God was in that school. God was in that school. We prayed in school. We prayed at football games. We prayed. We scored a touchdown. We'd kneel down and pray. We'd pray after a game. We'd get together with the other team over there, and everybody would gather around and pray. But we kicked God out of those schools, and when we did, we let the devil in. Where God is not, the devil will come in and take over. And the devil, we know, wants disruption. He's a liar. He wants us to be afraid. He wants us to doubt everything that we're taught to believe in. And he wants us to kill other people because his job is to kill, maim, and destroy. He wants to kill people. So he can use kids sometimes to go into a school and kill people. We had guns all over schools. Kids had them in just every pickup out there, just about. And yet, no one ever was shot in schools back in those days. And they blame the guns, and yet, you know, we have people driving cars. We had something happen just the other day where a guy drove a car into a bunch of people and killed 8 or 10 people. We had happen at a parade up north somewhere where they drove down through the middle of a parade, just running over people and going as fast as he could go and kill several people. So we had a big knife attack just the other day. So it's weapons. You can use anything for a weapon. You can use anything for a weapon. We've been attacked with a virus that was man-made. Now, whether it was meant to kill 3 or 4 million people or 1 million people in the United States, I don't know. But I know that they made it. We had a hand in helping making that. So you can use all kinds of things to kill. And when people kill other people, that makes the devil really happy. That's exactly what he's involved in doing. So when we took God out of our schools, when we started firing coaches for praying with their students, when we started firing teachers, when we took God out of the schools, we let the devil in big time. We let the devil in big time. I wasn't going to talk about that. Let's talk about, and you know, if we could get God back in and quit persecuting Christians, quit condemning Christians, quit making fun of Christians, if we could get God back in people's lives, they would have more people in the government. We'd have all the people in the government instead of making laws and rules and executive orders that are anti-Christian. We would have government officials that believed in God, and they would be trying to keep God involved in everything they're doing, and we'd have a whole lot better country. All of the guys that formed our government to begin with were Christians. That's right, they were Christians. They had some bad habits. They did some bad things, just like every Christian in the world did. Most of them owned slaves, which, as we look at that now, that's a pretty evil thing. But they were still Christians. They believed in God. There's still a lot of slaves today that we really don't care anything about because they're not here in this country. They're over in other countries. As long as they can use slave labor over there, it's okay, as long as we pay $5 for a shirt. It costs us $15 somewhere else, you know. And so it's not really slavery we're against, it doesn't seem like. But anyway, when we had God as the center of this country, and those men that formed our Constitution, that wrote our Bill of Rights, those men put God in the forefront of everything because that's what they believed. And they believed as long as this country kept God in the forefront, it'd have a chance to survive. By golly, it has for over 200 years, 230-something, something like that. And is it going to continue to survive? I hope so. I'm sure not sure of that anymore. I'm sure not sure of that anymore at all. But we're talking about mothers. We're talking about mothers. I had a godly mother. I mentioned that my dad was a deacon in a Baptist church. My mom was a Sunday school teacher. I was drugged to kids to school as long as I can ever remember. I went Sunday morning, Sunday night, Tuesday night, prayer meeting, Wednesday night, revivals, singings, anytime they had something going on. I went to vacation Bible school in the summertime, went to Falls Creek Camp down there about 15 miles from my ranch in southern Oklahoma. I got to go over there and speak to about 1,000 men the other day, 4 different times, and it was just absolutely dynamite to get to go back to Falls Creek. And I go over there for various functions that they have because it's just a great place and it's so close to home. Tremendous place. You see 1,000 men raising their hands in the air and worshiping God. Whoa, that'll turn you on. That will turn you on. And certainly did me anyway. But we're talking about mothers. And, you know, mothers have a day today that we celebrate. We took Chris to lunch, and Jamie and Sherry and Jordyn and all the rest of the family. We took her to lunch, and we've making this day special for her. But every day we should have Mother's Day for our mothers. That's how important they are. That's how important they are. They create life. God gave them the responsibility of creating little boys and little girls. And they do that through the most excruciating pain, I'm told, that human beings can ever have. And they say man does not go through any kind of pain that like women have when they have childbirth. But as tough and as bad and excruciating as that is, as that last 2 or 3 months when they kind of blow up and they get heavy and they kind of waddle along, they can't even hardly walk, as difficult as all that is, the instant they put that little baby boy or girl in that mama's hands, she has a smile and a look in her eye and a glow on her face that you and I can't give her, guys. You and I can't give her. God has given her a life, a new life, and all that pain, all that suffering, those times that she gained all that weight and was so unattractive, she thought, that's all washed away by that new little life she's holding in her hands. So moms, I'm telling you, we can't do enough to salute you. We should have Mother's Day every single day of the year, every single day of the year. Great moms come from great wives. There's no doubt about it. And I lost my mom really when she was pretty young, 58 years old. And but she was a goodly and a great mom all of that time. I heard our preacher this morning, Scott, had say something about he had a mom that nagged him, and a lot of y'all had a mom that just nagged you to death. My mom didn't do that. She just loved me to death. She loved me to death. And she would scold me. She probably gave me a whipping or time or two. I don't remember if she did or not, but a lot of times when I did something wrong, she'd say, I'm gonna tell your dad, and she would never tell him. She would never tell him, because that was a whipping for sure. That was a whipping for sure. Absolutely no doubt about that. But great godly moms are just worth more than gold. And you know, Chris has been a great mom, and she raised more than just Jamie and Sherry, who are just exemplary adults. They just are fantastic adults, and great moms and dads themselves. But Chris didn't just raise Jamie and Sherry. Richard, the kid's cousin, we basically raised him ever since he was 3 weeks old, and Chris has been a mom to him all along. As well as his mom, who lives here and takes care of him right now. I'd say takes care of him. He's a grown man. He takes care of himself. Probably spends more time taking care of her than she does of him. But and he's worked in the company business just like Jamie and Sherry has their entire life. So only place any of those 3 kids. But she raised more kids than that. Firewolf Jeffrey lost his mom at a young age, and Chris became mom to him. Many other kids around the neighborhood she became mom to in various days and throughout the week. And that's just what mamas do. That's just what mamas do. They're mamas to a lot of kids. Chris has got a happy Mother's Day from several different people other than Jamie and Sherry today. And Sherry has also got a happy Mother's Day also, because those kids, when they grow up, they realize it was not their own mom maybe, but it was a mom that was important in their lives, that made a difference in them, made them better adults, made them better mothers and fathers themselves, as a matter of fact. So we owe our moms such a big, giant debt of gratitude. It's amazing. It's amazing. And, you know, my mom's been in heaven for a long, long time, but I know she's looking down there right now, and I just got to tell her Happy Mother's Day. I think she's smiling. I think she's happy that the godly children that they raised, and my sister's up there with her, by the way. I'm the only one in the family not there. And but it'll be quite a reunion when I get there one day. But she realizes that the work and the effort and the time and the love that she put in paid off. Not only did it pay off in raising a great son and daughter like she did, but there's more sons and daughters and more sons and daughters and more sons and daughters. And the legacy of a great mom just continues generation after generation after generation. Moms that take their kids to church, that raise their kids in a godly environment, that teach them about stealing and lying and cursing and all the bad things that can go on in life. Those moms that try to keep their kids away from that. And I heard on the news yesterday that here in Oklahoma, 30% of the mothers are single-parent moms. They've even got a bigger job. They're mom and daddy both to those kids. And not only mom and daddy to their kids are just like my mom was, just like Sherry is, just like Chris was, moms to a lot of other kids in the neighborhood too. And some of those other kids in the neighborhood didn't have a mom. Some of them did, and their moms were kids being a mom to me, being a mom to my sister. So mothers are such outstanding individuals. That's why God tells us as men to find a good wife is more precious than gold and rubles and diamonds. To find a good wife. And he said that, but not for yours and I benefit necessarily, but for those children we would bring. Because if you have a good wife, you're going to have an exceptional mother. An exceptional mother. You know, when you think about all of the things that's going on in this country, and all of the things that are good, all of the things that are bad, moms are involved in all of the good stuff. God is involved in all the good stuff. And God is involved in a mother's life. And the more each mother involves God in their lives, the better mom they're going to be, the better grandma, great-grandma, the better kids they're going to raise, and the better country that we will have in the future when we go on to be with the Lord. Mom, happy birthday, like I said. I hope you're looking down here and smiling, seeing the kids that you raised, not just me, but other kids in the neighborhood too, that you spent time being mama to. I thank you for that. I love you. And to every single mother out there, I sure do love you.